When you paint neutrals, I mean black and white, you aren't actually going to use straight black or straight white. You're going to use an off-white or a off-black. Now, I don't have an off-black mixed up. I'm going to use this kind of battleship gray. You know, it's a charcoal gray, but it's going to end up working to make a dark colored armor. If you end up using a little bit of imagination, you get an idea on what a more black style would look like, but this is just what I'm going to go with for right now. And put it on over the model using black ink in all of the shadows. So this is going to force that shadow coloration throughout the entire model. And I'll also be able to highlight onto it pretty easily. Instead of moving directly into highlights, I'm going to go into a more metallic area. This is going to go over the soft armor, all of the gun metals, everything else, and I use this dark silver color. I think GW calls it bolt gun metal, P3 calls it pig iron, but it's pretty close to the same formula. Just putting it everywhere that I need to have for trim, for decoration, for soft armor. I mean, it's really not one of my paint jobs unless I use armor wash, but that's, again, just because it works so well at covering up all my mistakes, getting shading in, giving a dark, oily look on all of that metal that I just really like. Instead of putting that bolt gun metal pig iron color back on, I'm just going to skip right on over to the silver and give it a dry brush on top of all my trim. This brightens it up, but it still leaves the shadows, it still leaves the oily effect, and looks very nice. At some point I'll have to go over the paint history of Games Workshop and when they went over to this French company that made this version of Bleached Bone. But it just has a lighter shade than the other Bleached Bone that is out there, and it works perfectly for the interior of these capes, and we'll end up moving on with a mix just to get everything looking right. Adding a little bit of white, I'm mixing on my palette. And I'm going to be using that bleach bone as the deep color, the mix as the highlight, and then going directly to my off-white for the bolt gun, and also for my highest highlight inside the clip. Highlighting the armor, this color is called Fortress Gray. I don't know if they still make it anymore, and I remember having to transfer the pot for some reason. Just to get it done, a quick hit of flesh wash on the face. Pure titanium white as your highlight on top of the bolter, and then using this combination of Fortress Gray and Old Space Wolf Gray is going to be the perfect shadow inside the crevices on the bolter itself. This lends the bolter to look white while not actually being titanium white in color. I was gifted contrast paint, and I never used it before. So might as well give it a try on the grenade. Just see how this works. And honestly, I like this stuff. It is neat. I like the way it flows. I don't know if I could make it myself using a little bit of my Magic Wash medium, which is clear, and a really, really strong pigmented paint. But I think that I'm going to try and use this a little bit more. It's just neat to work with. And it turns out well. I'm not going to complain about anybody who uses it. Paint job is going together surprisingly quick. Just throwing some details in here for the backpack and grenades and other doodads. But whenever you have a model like this, they're pretty straightforward. It's not an overly complex paint job. It's just dark over dark. Ends up working out fairly well, but I don't know if it's going to end up being my favorite, because when you end up having this viewed from 6 feet away, it's not going to pop out at you from the table. It's going to look like a Sister of Battle, absolutely, no doubt about that. But it's not going to be striking. It's not going to be something that just is going to jump out at you. Still look nice, but just nice. Starting on the face that I'm invariably going to screw up. And the deepest color I'm going to use is this salmonish color. And as always, I've completely blotched over all of my flesh wash, so I'm going to have to put some more of that back in place to push the shadows back onto the model. And this is just a Caucasian-ish skin tone that's going to be highlighted on through. And like I said, I did mess up. While I thinned out my paint for this, it also ended up just flowing into places I didn't want it. So I'm going to have to come back here for repairs. If you don't pick out details, they get lost in the model. So this is for that little circlet that she's wearing right on her forehead. For the most part, the model is done. Just time to move on to the base. So standard, just Elmer's glue, a little bit of fine flock. It's almost at a sand kind of consistency. It's old, but I got it laying around. And my glue brush, which is a completely plastic bristled brush. It's 100% synthetic. I don't remember what I paid for it, but if I screw it up, I don't care. As long as you end up going through and cleaning it up right after you're done with the glue, it doesn't matter. This stuff just cleans up easy. Well, the star of the base is going to eventually be the static grass that I put on last. If you don't have a good shaded earth and mud for your battlefield, it doesn't sell. So that's why I'm starting out with my really deep browns. It's not going to cover everything, it's not going to cover all the green in the flock, but that's going to get lost in the static grass. But what this does is provide the shade for the brown series, dark brown, medium brown, light brown, even a tan, and then the static grass finally at the end to have the overall look. Again, static grass is easy. It's just a few ribbons of glue, smushing the grass on top, and then tapping the bottom of the model to shake off the additional static grass and to make it stand up by itself. Games Workshop used to have a fit if you put a black ring around your base instead of having the color go and transfer all the way down to the sides. And then, for some reason, they said that this was okay again. I don't know. I like the black look. I think it makes the rest of the model stand out. If I'm honest, this looks okay, but just okay. It's not my favorite execution for our sisters.